Hi everyone, I'm Rochelle Miranda, and this is my second year at UTSA. I'm a communications major, and I'm also in the works of declaring a political science minor. After graduation, I plan on joining the military and attending officer training school in order to receive the graduate benefits that are available to soldiers. This is a big part of my plan because the military offers a number of financial resources that are available for graduate programs and other educational programs that'll help pay for the cost of my higher education. It is my intent to follow the steps of both my parents who served in the military, and this is really where my hero story begins, of traveling around the US at a very young age because I was a military brat. And over my childhood, I lived in 6 different states, not including Puerto Rico, and attended 10 different schools. As a result, I've been exposed to numerous environments of varying cultures, socioeconomic statuses, and norms. This has prompted me to become more adaptable, especially in how I communicate with others. For instance, when I first moved to Texas from California, there were a lot of cultural barriers in the communication used here that made it difficult for me to build connections with others. I had come from a very fashion forward, fast paced city on the skirts of LA to now this very small, slow paced German town in the middle of central Texas, where trends don't necessarily change overnight, not even sometimes months or years. And at the time, now I'm looking back, I realized New Braunfels isn't quite as small as I initially perceived it to be, but because of my initial cultural shock, it dramatized my perception. Personally, the hardest cultural barrier in communication I had to adjust to was being able to decode the context and tone of phrases used here in Texas. It's much easier to understand when somebody in California is upset with you because they'll use every word in the book. However, here in Texas, the Southern hospitality does a good job of really covering the passive aggressiveness here. For example, when I initially heard the phrase, God bless your heart, I figured it was meant literally, considering Texas is a religious and conservative state. However, I would have never guessed that God bless your heart is actually an insult, and it more commonly translates to, well, you're an idiot. And while many people here are friendly, there's definitely more subtle passive aggression that sometimes goes unnoticed, and that I myself would have not noticed unless it were for my native Texan friends. However, this is also when my true passion of analyzing and researching communication began, with the small everyday observations I made in comparison to past experiences I encountered in other cities and states. And often, when we talk about cultural barriers in communication, people automatically assume across continents and countries. But even here in the US, varying from region to region, from state to state, these barriers are very much still applicable. A driving force for why I want to succeed in this course is the opportunity to learn about the historical context of mass communication channels in order to identify them in today's time. I strongly believe that by learning from history, we are able to synthesize today's dilemmas and bring about a more productive and brighter future. I'm eager to get a degree in communication because it would allow for me to be more flexible as for traveling, since communication careers are found almost everywhere. However, with communication being so prevalent in so many careers, I especially want to succeed in this course and earn my degree to become a more competitive candidate entering the 21st century job market. My goal for communication growth in this course is to gain the skill of media literacy in order to better evaluate and identify manipulation in the media. Secondly, I hope to learn the theories and concepts of communication and language in order to better predict the future trends of mass communication. Lastly, I want to advance my skills of cultural fluency in order to better engage with more diverse and large audiences. As for how I plan to reach these goals, during the week of the application presentation videos, I plan to discuss the topic of media literacy, and through teaching my peers, I hope to advance my own understanding and knowledge of the topic as well. My strategy for better recognizing future mass communication trends is to continue to practice the concepts and theories we learn in class towards both the online and televised news, as well as newspapers and advertisements I come across. By continuously studying these concepts in real-world situations, I hope for the skill to strengthen and become more of a habit over time. Lastly, to become more culturally fluent, I plan to address obstacles such as my cognitive bias that could hinder intercultural communication. While I like to consider myself an unbiased person, that's exactly what a biased person would like to think. Instead, I plan on identifying my cultural stance and viewing situations from more than just my viewpoint. Thank you for listening, and I'm super excited to see where this semester takes us.